As all of you are aware, Aitor Karanka has left Birmingham and Lee Bowyer has replaced him in charge for tonight's game against Reading. But the question remains, where did it all go wrong for Aitor Karanka? This I'm writing in my personal view. Obviously, if you feel differently, feel free to comment and just speak your piece. Personally, I felt Aitor Karanka's philosophy was defensive. It was negative. It was defeatist. There was no passion in him. There was no desire. There was no willing to improve. There was no understanding where mistakes are made and then noticing their mistakes and trying to become better. He was a dead man walking. A man with a defeatist attitude, which the table doesn't lie. If you're a defeatist who blames the players, constantly chopping, changing teams, that's going to rub off on the players, if you're not showing any passion and desire to become better, that'll be reflecting in the players. And lo and behold, look at league table. That is where we are. We are where we are because of that man's leadership. And I'm going to go through different aspects on why I think that. So number one, recruitment. Recruitment, we all knew, needed a massive change. If we were going to push forward, we needed the signings and the squad depth to really help us push forward. I don't feel like that's been the case at all this season. I think recruitment has been a shambles. There have been some good come out of it, but there's been a lot of bad. A lot of bad. So we're going to go through it. So last season, Lee Camp left. Now, we all know goalkeeping department, we needed a change. We needed a massive improvement in the goalkeeping department, and he did follow through with that. I think Neil Etheridge was a fantastic signing for us. I think he's a very good calibre goalkeeper. I wasn't expecting us to bring in a goalkeeper of Etheridge's quality. Don't get me wrong, he has made mistakes. All goalkeepers do. But he was a fantastic acquisition. Defensively. From a defensive standpoint, I was expecting Karanka to bring in a lot of defenders to suit his style of play. He hasn't. Our normal lineup would be Pedersen, be Roberts, Dean and Colin. That's our normal back four. He brought in Jake Clark-Salter, who's not an improvement at all from last season, because Clark-Salter was already with us on loan. And even though he's brought him in on loan, he hasn't really played him, which is a bit of a head scratcher. You'd think if he wanted him in, he'd involve him a bit. He brought in George Friend, who I don't think is too bad at all. I think maybe the championship's a bit too quick for him, but I think his experience in organising the defence has been good. I don't think he's a bad player to have on a free. Anyway, he's a nice little backup. Valerie, I don't know what improvement he's made at all. I don't think he's any improvement to Colin. Personally, I'll probably say weakness-wise, probably left back really. Left back's probably been a main concern for me anyway, because since Pedersen heard news about Watford maybe being interested, he's just been a bit of a different player. But I think he's slowly coming back into it. And obviously a lot of people are complaining about Harley Dean. But of course you got Clark-Salter as a backup and you got George Friend, so whether he had a leniency not to play him, I don't know. Midfield. Now this is a big one. Now I don't know why, but Aitor Karanka had this fixation on bringing midfield players in. I don't know why. He just had a fixation on it. It just seemed like every time we were signing a player, it was just going to be another midfielder, another midfielder, another midfielder. Just trying to think off the top of my head. So you had Keithton Bowd, you got Sunjic, you got Gary Gardner, you had David Davis. That's four in the centre mid department straight off the bat. I've just named. And then he's brought in Adam Clayton, waste of money. San Jose, waste of money. John Terrell, waste of money. Raheem Harper, probably a bit harsh on him because he has been playing, but I don't think he's really shown any massive qualities on why he's a very good championship player at all. But there's still time for him to show. He's brought in Riley McCree, may I point out, stepping stone. Which I can't stand the bloke for that. But he's not even been anywhere near the first team, other than on the subs bench. He's brought in Ivan Sanchez, who I think is a good player. He's sort of like a Belarus sort of player, but he's very much like a Hotter, personally anyway. And I think earlier on in the season he liked to take on players and he likes to try and make things happen, and he was that little bit of magic, but that seems to have wore off a bit now. He seems to be a bit scared. Sometimes I watch games and I don't even realise he's playing. He's either there or he's not. And out of them 6 players, how many of them are we naming in the first team lineup? Clayton shouldn't be anywhere near it. San Jose has been awful. I know we had big hopes for him, but he just has not come through, and I'm expecting he's on a big wage. John Terrell, we've brought him in. Does he suit our style of play? Not really. Raheem Harper, yeah, little bits of glimmer, but other than that, nothing that's really stood out for me. One of his best signings has been Halalovic. I was not expecting us to sign him at all. I didn't think he'd even want to come to Blues, but I suppose if you're Sunyic's mate, you'd think maybe he'd help us out, and he has. So I'm quite happy about that. His goal against QPR was incredible, but he hasn't been given playing time either. Since we've signed him, he's only really started coming in now. And we can all see the magic he produces. Honestly. Alright, striking department. You've got Jonathan Lecco. Now, I don't know what to really make out of Lecco. Would you class him as a winger? Would you class him as a striker? I don't know. He seems to be here, there, everywhere. But then again, he's not even in the first team bench. Hopefully, Lee Bowyer can help him a bit, because he was one of his main men at Charlton when they were in the Championship. Scott Hogan. Sorry. Scott Hogan. Would you class him as improving from last season's squad? No, because he was already here. And he spent 2 mil on Cosgrove, who's hardly even played. I don't know if that is the powers to be upstairs saying, look, we need a new striker, we need more goals, and it wasn't Karanka's man at all, and it was sort of like the board's decision to bring in Cosgrove. I don't know. I haven't seen much of him at all. So far, it's just been £2 million down the drain. But you never know. He might come through good. If given the chance. If given the chance. But I'm starting to think if we spent £2 million on him and Karanka's not playing him at all. Don't get me wrong, he's had a few knocks. I'm thinking maybe he's not been Karanka's signing at all. So, question: squad improvement? Not really. Maybe a bit more squad depth, but I don't think it's players of the same quality or sort of like even better. Don't get me wrong, it's been a couple of good ones. Halalovic, Sanchez, George Friend, Etheridge. Those are probably the only 4 players I can think of who have made a difference and an improvement in some aspect. The rest from last season's team haven't. Which, in my personal opinion, with a club like us who financially aren't great at all, it just seems like a massive waste of a wage budget. But for Karanka then, so you got his tactics and his philosophy and subs. He tended to play like a 3-5-2, where it was basically 5-4-1, but you had Colon and Pezson as like your bombing running backs going up and down. He had this weird fixation on just having one up top, which is to be expected of a defensive manager. but the subs have been very questionable. And sort of like the tactics and style of play he's been doing is something that's been a head scratch for me. Hogan is a player who you'd want to have little players with him. I don't think he can do it on his own. He tends to be very isolated in games, and there always seems, when it comes to that final third, Hogan's got nothing to work with. And I expect him to be frustrated as well. I can't really blame him, just because of the fact that he's, when it comes to strikers, they're working on scraps, and you want a team that's going to create chances. You want a team that's going to be defensively tight, but then can just whack them on the counter. So I can't really blame Hogan as such. But like, for example, he'll bring on the Duke. A player who's known for, who you want either when defending, you want him in the box to clear a ball out on a set piece, or when you're attacking, you want crosses galore coming in, or a Robbo rocket, and just hope to bang off his head and go in. But whenever we seem to bring on Duke, he takes the wingers off. Bella will come off, Sanchez will come off, will become very compact and direct, and that doesn't suit Duke's style of play at all. And I don't really understand where Karanka's coming from with it. From the start of the season, his recruitment's been a shambles. He hasn't really improved the squad. His philosophy is so negative, and an example of that would be, we played Stoke earlier on in the season, and I believe we drew 1-1. We went 1-0 up. I'm not too sure. I'm trying to think if I remember. It might have been a Harley Dean header, but correct me if I'm wrong. And I was looking at the clock, and it was about 61 minutes gone. And every single attacking aspect which we had, he took off, and it was just all defensive. With half an hour to go, you're 1-0 up. Stoke are there for the taking, and you bring them back in the game where you're trying to hold on for half an hour. I'm sorry, at this level, you'll be slaughtered. Lo and behold, Stoke scored. Nicked a point. Happy days for them. 2 points dropped for us. It's so important. When it comes to that sort of tactical philosophy, I don't think he understood. He was very choppy and changey with his team. Your team will nick a point or win, and he'll make 4 or 5 changes the next game. You want a bit of momentum. He never showed that. It felt like he wanted us down. Genuinely, it felt like he just wanted us relegated. He didn't want to win games. He just wanted a ticket out. I think he was probably hoping to get sacked so he can get a payoff, and I think he has. In press conferences, when we lost games, he never put himself into it and said, look, it's my responsibility, it's my fault, blame me. He was very against blaming himself. He would blame the other players' mistakes. Every time you see him, he'd just shrug. He'd just shrug his shoulders, and he just did not look interested at all. You concede a goal or you score a goal, and the camera goes to him, and he's just stood there with his hands in his pocket, looking down at the floor. You don't want that. You want to be looking at your manager and thinking, come on, we've done, we're 1-0 up. Let's do it. Carry on. Let's nick a second one. Why not? There's been plenty of teams here for the taking, and we have not, put them to the sword at all. If anything, we've just gone, oh, bloody hell, we're 1-0 up. Let's quick run back. Get every man behind the ball. We can hold this. There's only 60 minutes left. It's just been so stupid and lethargic. And do I think he's a worse manager than Cottrell, or Zola? That remains to be seen. He's definitely in that bracket with them. And I think that Karanka has not been a perfect fit for Blues. His reputation has definitely been tarnished. No shadow of a doubt of that. I don't think he'll really bounce back. He just walks around like a broken man. And it has been his own doing. Don't get me wrong, I don't think the players have probably been playing for him. Would you want to? Think about it, you're at work, your manager's slagging you off about mistakes or you not doing your duty properly, and are you going to want to work for him? No, you ain't. And, that has shown throughout the season. There's been so many games where we've been battered or we've gone ahead and just wasted our opportunity of picking up points because we're that defensive. He was a man who was scared to win. Completely frightened of it. In my personal opinion, he didn't want to break down teams. He always thought of it as like a tiny bit of a chess match where if we nick a goal, hold on back, and it never worked out. Do I think that he should have still been in the job till now? No, I think he should have gone probably December. I understand like we shouldn't really be touting for managers to go out, but when the warning signs are there and you're looking at aspects of his recruitment, his tactics, some games we haven't played bad, where we have lost games. But there are weird things in the formation which you'll notice. So if you look at Blues on the throw-in, for some reason we tend to lose the ball on the throw-in. Just watch it. Like past highlights where we've had a throw-in, for some reason it always seems to go to them. Or if you watch Halalovic, unbelievable player. Still don't know how we got him. Pinch me arm, it's a dream come true. We're that bad at attacking threat that when you want Halalovic to break and go forward, you watch where Halalovic is. He has to go almost in a central defence midfielder's position to get the ball and then push forward. It don't work. Don't work like that, and hopefully Lee Bowyer's going to make a massive overhaul. He's going to make big changes. I'm hoping for, a positive philosophy. I think Bowyer's got that in the bag. He's not someone who's going to blame the players. I think he's Blues, isn't he? The fabric of Blues is in him. He loves the club. He knows the potential, and he's going to take us there. I'm sure of it. Probably bite me on the ass in about 2 years, but oh well. I think it's an exciting time for Blues with him in charge. And that's my thoughts on it, guys. Obviously, if you have your own opinion and your own comments, feel free to make them. I'm just saying my opinion. You can agree with me, you can disagree. It's the beautiful part of being a fan, isn't it? Everyone's got their own voice. And that is what I think is where everything went wrong for Aitor Karanka.